For the moment, Inter are 1 point clear of Juve, who are, of course, in action tomorrow. Let's start with Gab. It's interesting, Gab, isn't it? I think at the start of the game, if you'd offered Inter 1-1, they would have said, no, we want 3 points. By the end of it, though, a point they'd be more than happy with.
Yeah, clearly, given the way the game went, given the way Atalanta, as they so often do, seemed to get stronger as the game went on, and Inter seemed to get weaker. And we've seen this before. Something Conte touched on after the game, pointing out that he was missing 4 players, which is a bit of a stretch because obviously he's including Alexis Sanchez in there. But certainly he's talking about Vecino. Barella, I think, would have definitely made a difference in a game like that, just allowing Inter to maintain that intensity in the second half. And obviously Skriniar at the back might have had the experience not to give away the penalty that Bastoni gave away. Though Bastoni, until that point, I thought it played really well.
It's concerning for Inter, isn't it?
Not really, because that's kind of what they do and what they're all about. I mean, they would maybe not play as poorly as that, but I think if we'd said before, and we did talk about it before, leading up to this game, don't expect Inter to be dominating the game. But there's a frustration there that when they get off to the kind of start that they did, with the link up from the front two, and as Stevie said, there was a mistake, but then you've got Martinez with another great finish, and you think, right, they're going to kick on, they're going to get a stranglehold in this game, they're going to dominate them, they're going to suffocate them, and they're going to get the second goal, and then they're going to defend and kill the game off. But as Gab said, they just allowed Atalanta to get back in the game, they took control of the game, they controlled the tempo of the game, and as the second half went on, Inter hardly created anything. You had Gomez in the middle of the park running about, making stuff happen. You got Ilicic was coming off the right side on the left foot, always looked dangerous. The penalty obviously was a huge bonus for them that Handanovic saved it. But it's kind of what Inter do, and also what he does, he always talks about who he's not got. Every game.
Yeah.
I've not got him, and I've not got... As if any other manager hasn't not got players. So he had a good side out. He had some problems in the defensive side of the unit, which were well documented. But they played in a kind of Inter under Conte way, which is not very entertaining and not as well as Atalanta, but they got a point.
As Craig says, Steve, you had the perfect start. You're 4-0 up. 4-0 up. You're 1-0 up after 4 minutes. You've got the home crowd behind you. You think, right, this is perfect. Why didn't they then take control of the game? Why didn't they suffocate the opposition?
Because they couldn't keep the ball long enough. For me, Atalanta, particularly in the first half, this was a side that I thought would come out and play open, attractive football, but they sat, and all they did was let Inter Milan dominate and get the ball. But they kept trying to give it back to Atalanta, and Atalanta kept giving it back to them. But it wasn't until the second half something happened, and they realised that, this team actually is there for the taking.
Yeah.
And then they stepped it up. But the first half, Inter, possession-wise, I thought they were horrible. And for me, Atalanta have missed an opportunity.
Well, what about the penalty, the call? The non-call?
In the first half, yeah.
I mean, it was a rugby tackle.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, it was a little bit blindsided, and it might have been difficult to see. Some of the angles were not great, but there was a couple of angles where, or at least one where, you could clearly see the arm comes out and there's a little tackle on the heel. Now, some people
and that's
say,
not allowed, is it?
Well, and not in that sport.
No.
As if you're playing rugby in Italy, you're allowed to do it. And as the player was just about to toe poke it into the net, his ankle was tapped from behind. Now, you can say, well, there wasn't much contact. It's an infringement of the rules.
Yeah. How do you miss it?
And Gasperini, the coach, we was talking about it after the game, saying it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen in this day and age of VAR.
Go on, Gab.
No, look, I take Gasperini's point, I take Craig's point, but then again, Gasperini's also likes to have a whinge whenever things don't go his way. And the reality is he should just be talking up his team, and which, to be fair, he did, because Atalanta, once again, and they often do this against the bigger sides, but both we saw it at Man City, we saw it against Juventus, we saw it against Lazio. Atalanta dominated, and even if they don't get that penalty, they still there was still the Handanovic penalty save. There was still the Malinovsky hitting the woodwork. They still took the game to them, and I think, while we can all point out Inter's flaws, I think we really ought to give a lot of credit to Atalanta for not perhaps going out all guns blazing in the first half, and then taking over in the second half when Inter clearly physically couldn't contain them.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.